Loud and Quiet presents Midnight Chats.
Hello and welcome to the Loud and Quiet interview podcast, Midnight Chats. We're up to episode 26 now, and this week's interview is with early 90s shoegaze band Slowdive, who returned this week with their first album in 22 years. Their last record was Pygmalion in 1995, which they managed to just about release before calling it a day. Back then, the shoegaze scene that they were very much part of, along with bands like My Bloody Valentine and Ride, Lush and Chapter House and all of those early 90s bands, were kind of pushed aside by Britpop when Britpop went insane. Since then, all the members of the band have continued to make music, but in 2014 they reformed for a reunion tour, which kind of kicked off at Primavera Sound with a huge show, like the biggest show the band will have ever played until now. And they had always muted around that time of like, maybe they're going to make some new music. And here we are 3 years later, and indeed they have. They didn't fall out on that reunion tour. They got on as well as they ever have done. And they've made a new record, which they've chosen to call Slowdive. And it's out this week on May the 5th, if you're listening to this when it goes up. So this is an interview that I conducted with singer Rachel Goswell and drummer Simon Scott. They came past the office about a month ago now. The day that this was recorded, as you'll hear at the beginning of the conversation, was coincided with a show that they were playing, a special gig, a small show here in London at the Garage, which was being broadcast on live on Facebook. And they'd only announced it the day before, a very tiny venue here in town. And it's the place where they played their very last show, their last UK show in '94. So special thanks to them for coming by on that day, because I think they were probably a little bit nervous about this show because it was being broadcast and it was quite a big thing, and the album had just been announced. But we had a great chat here in our office about everything really, about the fact that how it all ended before, what it was actually like being in a band in the early 90s and part of that creation scene that was so so legendary for its partying and just madness. And other things like what it's like to just suddenly release a new record after 22 years. Obviously a hell of a lot has changed in the music industry, and suddenly you're back being in a band again with the people that you were in a band with in 1995. I hope you enjoy this episode of the podcast. If you're new to what we do, please check out our previous 25 episodes. Last week's Mac DeMarco one proved pretty popular. I think that might be our most listened to one now. So yeah, check that out, and there are some others. Feel free to subscribe, leave a comment, all of that kind of stuff that you're meant to do online these days. And in the meantime, we'll be back in 2 more weeks with episode 27. But for now, here's number 26 with Rachel Goswell and Simon Scott from Slowdive.
We all went to bed quite early last night. I thought that was quite funny.
It was quite a civilised night, yeah.
What time did you sleep last night? What time did you get to bed?
2.
It was probably 2, yeah.
But the night before was like 4, which was kind of felt like 10, 11.
Yeah.
We're entering into that twilight world of being on tour where
on the bus where you don't
like
sleep.
1 o'clock in the afternoon is like 6 o'clock in the morning. Like, how dare you wake me up, you know?
Yeah.
So you woke up this morning. This morning you woke up on a bus.
Yeah.
Behind the garage. Yeah.
On the garage at but was it behind the Shell garage on Holloway Road?
No, we're down side street, down the side by the venue, aren't we?
We're sort of we're on the road behind the garage, which is the venue. By a little park. It was quite sweet actually, bit of cherry blossom. It's nice and quiet.
Nice place to wake up.
Yeah, right by Upper Street for a nice little coffee and a croissant or whatever takes your fancy. 1 o'clock in the morning or in the afternoon, which is anyway.
Yeah.
Do you ever get used to the bus life, sleeping on a bus?
No, I can't. I don't really sleep very well on them at all. I used to 20 years ago, probably because I was very inebriated and I just passed out. But I can't sleep on them now. I struggle when I go on tour, it's the movement of the bus that stops me from sleeping. I can't generally sleep until it stops,
Right.
which can be really unfortunate if you've got an 8-hour drive after a gig.
Yeah.
And you're like,
Yeah, we have to look after Rachel on tour, bless her. She's the only one out of us that doesn't actually get a decent night's sleep. We've all got children, so actually to get on a tour bus, you know, have a chat, have a little kind of nightcap and go to sleep, you get a great night's sleep, apart from Rach.
apart from me. Yeah.
Which is unfortunate as you've got to sing, and
I don't sleep well at home, and I don't sleep well on buses either. That's life.
just on stage while she's singing, she closes her eyes, have
as
a
long
little
as I
nap
can get through that hour
during
and
the
a
ambient
half.
moments.
That's all that matters.
So other than the sleep patterns and back on the road, how does it feel to be back on Slowdive duty after 22 odd years?
Feels good.
It's exciting.
Does it feel that it was that long ago
Yeah.
for the first time? It does. It feels like a lifetime ago.
Yeah, I think it does.
It does seem like a long time ago. Yeah, everything's changed. We've changed. The whole music industry's changed.
Massively.
Yeah. But you know, the songs are still there and the songs still sound fresh, so that's the kind of really crazy thing. And obviously we never expected people, you know, 20 years from, you know, 1993, 4 or whatever, to kind of be even more into it. You know, most bands, they release a few records and they fade away, and you know, they just live in your record collection. But it was different for us, so that's really amazing, you know. And it's super exciting to be able to get together and have those same creative sparks flowing, writing new tracks. So yeah, it's fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah, we're lucky.
Yeah.
I think we're lucky.
I think the fact that you're still sleeping on a bus, that's actually quite old school. That's one thing that in this whole cycle of you promoting another album, you probably did last time. That a lot of bands, I don't know if many bands get buses now these days.
Well, it depends logistically where you've got to go, because it's kind of the lesser of two evils.
Yeah, sure.
If you do festivals, generally you tend to fly in and out and just take guitars and bare minimum pedal boards. It is just a logistical thing, what actually works.
I think,
and actually what makes more financial sense.
It does, but there's an element of it where we're going on tour, we haven't played for 8 months, and actually for us all to get sort of sit around the table in the lounge, you know.
Oh, I don't know, I prefer a hotel room personally, but...
All right, well, you can be antisocial, Rachel, but the rest of us like, you know, and with our crew as well, we've got the same crew we had back in the early 90s.
Have you?
So they went off and did Spiritualised, and so we've got a few new people, you know, went off and did The Cure and Spiritualised and stuff, but they've come back to Slowdive, so we kind of have that, we've kind of got a family around us, which is really great. And so actually, you know, to get your bag and throw it on the bus and sit and chat, and you know, it's really sociable, and that's part of being in a band. And you know, even though we're now all in our mid-40s, that's still a very kind of essential part of the group. And I guess, you know, because we're all really good friends, and that helps the music and the vibe. Let's go on stage, and you know, you kind of tighten up, and you have that kind of rolling tour relationship with one another, and it's a really nice thing. But we do that when we're in hotels. We all kind of go, right, we'll meet down in the bar in 5 minutes, or go and have dinner together, and you know. So it's, even though we take it very seriously and we are a professional band, etc., we're still a bunch of, you know, dibbicks having a beer and a chat and talking nonsense with one another and having a laugh, you know.
Yeah. How about things like, obviously, in 1994, whatever, there was no social media. How's that going?
I think it's great.
Online presence, they call it.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think, oh God, on multiple levels, the internet is an amazing invention, isn't it? I think it's a good thing for bands. Personally, it's a great way to be able to connect, man.
Yeah.
To connect with people, and you know, and just listen to music and know what's going on in the world, and you know, like that. Everything's so instant. Sometimes I kind of would like to turn everything off and just sit in a room with nothing. Just because you get so bombarded, don't you? You get bombarded everywhere, you know, and it's very hard to I think, turn your phone off and just not read anything or not check something. And I think it's harder for young people having the internet in some ways, growing up and having their sort of
it must be
bigger peer pressure, don't you?
Yeah.
Than you would just in a school playground. So
Yeah, it was bad enough. When I was at school, it was around the time that everyone started getting phones. When I was around kind of 15, 16, pay-as-you-go phones turned up.
Yeah.
It was bad enough texting a girl and then them
Not getting a
texting
reply.
you back.
Yes.
I can't imagine what it must be like.
Oh, I know.
They've got to check all of that. Oh, I've only got 10 likes on that photo I put up.
I know, yeah.
Across everything.
Yes.
They've probably got, maybe 5 different digital platforms to basically not get replies from girls.
Yeah,
I
to just feel even more crap about yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, and vice versa. I mean, we've all got children, and a few of us have got daughters, and when they're trying to kind of get confidence and self-validation as young teenagers, and to, as you said, not get enough likes. What's wrong with me? It's kind of dangerous.
Yeah.
But as long as they're made aware that not to take Snapchat or whatever too seriously,
I think it's hard when you're that age though, because
is
everything's
tough times.
be all and end all when you're a teenager.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I remember thinking I knew everything when I was 15. Just being really self-righteous and just I knew
But
everything.
really, you know nothing at that age.
Didn't have any growing
You
up
kind of
still,
know that
just
deep
knew it
down,
all.
I think. You got bravado
That was
and
without
front.
internet.
I mean, with the internet, actually, I think one of the reasons why Slowdive are playing a sold-out show tonight, etc.,
because of the internet.
is because and because we released those songs and they went off into the ether for a while, and they were put online, and somebody mentioned Slowdive, somebody typed in Slowdive, googled it or whatever, and we're on Spotify or we're on Bleep or iTunes or whatever, and YouTube, and just thought, hey, this is really good music, and that just spread, and that's because of the internet. So we've kind of got the internet to be thankful for kind of reforming and getting signed to Dead Oceans and being able to play live shows today, 2017. It's great.
So tonight you're playing at the Garage.
Yeah.
And that's, talking of social media, it's going on, it's live streaming on Facebook.
It is, yes.
But that's quite but you were saying just before we started that there's like kind of crew, and it's quite down there at the venue at the moment. There's lots of...
Stuart, you're making me feel very nervous now.
Do you feel...
butterflies are going. Seriously, yeah. But
do you feel the pressure?
It's because we actually, we give a damn about it. We care. Yeah. I mean, we've
I
got
feel
new
alright at the
songs.
moment. I'll give it about, a few hours, and I'm sure I'll be a bit... It'll be fine.
No, we'll really enjoy it.
If
It's
it
nice
isn't-
to be nervous,
Yeah, and at least you're going to be there playing. So I don't know if you know this, but when you do a Facebook Live video and you're doing it, and it's in front of you, the computer's in front of you, it shows you in real time how many people are watching at that moment.
Oh, okay.
So at least you're not going to have that.
No.
Because you'll be blissfully unaware of...
Yeah.
Because it's never a good sign, is it? If it's 1 million people, that's frightening as hell. And if it's 2, you think, well, why are we here?
Yeah, right. So it could start with 1 million people if we were extremely lucky. Yeah, and halfway through the set, you go, there's one person
one
watching.
person.
Oh, they've all gone.
Oh, it's me.
Stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And loads of comments. Yeah, it'll be alright.
But it's a big... what I was going to say was, so you were saying there's lots of people milling around. So it's a big... I didn't realise that when something like that happens, when a show is streamed, that there's a big kind of production value to it. Because
neither did we, because we haven't done it before.
Okay, right.
Yeah. Apart from festivals, obviously some festivals live stream stuff, but then that's different, isn't it? Because it's kind of generally quite big plays with, the boom camera and a couple of blokes
hardly
with their
notice they're sort of
cameras,
there
and it's a
over your
big
shoulder.
stage.
But at the garage, it's a tiny
It's really
little
small,
stage.
so that's going to be quite...
It's going to be great because we only
in our
announced it
faces.
yesterday, didn't we? We kind of announced it with the album news and the video and stuff, and to know it's sold out. It's sold out the day the tickets went on sale. It will be really vibey.
Yeah.
I think it'll be good fun.
Once we get up there and plug in and start playing, it will be like, okay, we'll just forget about that. We'll be playing to the audience and really kind of starting to get into the vibe.
Exactly. I think that's all you can do, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to do.
Yeah, it's live music as well. So if it's not, it's kind of note perfect. It's live music,
It never is note perfect.
Never is. We try our best.
But that's the beauty of seeing a band. Well, I mean, some bands are immaculate, you know. We're not bad.
Yeah, immaculate's not good. You want to kind of sort
There's
of...
always room for improvements, like...
Yeah.
You want it to feel live.
Of course.
Exactly.
Otherwise it's, you
Of
know.
course. Yeah.
But the garage is where you played your last London show as
Yeah.
your full lineup.
Yeah.
In '94, is that '94?
I think it was 93.
December 1993.
Yeah, we went on and did we did an American tour after that in '94. So the final show completely was actually in Toronto, but we didn't know that at the time. We didn't know that was the final show. But the last UK show was at the garage. I don't really remember much about it.
I do. It was empty.
Yeah,
It was
well, I
really
think
strange.
Christian says that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was, that whole tour was when the press had kind of said, you know, shoegaze is awful and it's all about Nirvana and Jamiroquai and
Oh God.
yeah, and I remember it was 700 capacity back then. It's a bit smaller now because they've refurbed it, but it's much nicer with a much better PA. And I remember sitting there
now,
playing.
Actually, going in there today, I was a bit
Yeah,
like,
they've done a good job inside. It's nice.
I think it's recently reopened.
Has
It has.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's pretty new refurb. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
it looks squeaky clean, but
Which
it
is
definitely
nice.
doesn't look like it used to. But yeah, it was half empty. I think there was about 250 people there, and people were just chatting at the bar.
Right.
So it wasn't great.
So you're hoping for a slightly better kind of
I
feel
think
to
so.
them
It's a good sign it's sold out in a day, so at least there'll be a few more people in there.
by the bar
It'll be
chatting.
full. Yeah,
hopefully
it'll
not,
be
but-
full. Yeah.
But you don't remember, Rachel, you don't remember much of the show.
No, but to be fair, I don't remember a lot of the early 90s anyway. Just because.
I think that means you were there.
I was there. I was there. Present. Yeah.
Well, there's a big nostalgia at the moment for the 90s. Ever think about it? Was it as kind of crazy as people imagine if from the point of view of being in a band at that time?
Yeah. Well, I guess the early part. Yeah.
We were really young, so
You
know,
were, yeah.
When we signed to Creation, yeah, I think initially the first year or two, it was
and
quite.
Creation were rowdy. They were
Yeah, they
party,
were.
That was Party HQ, and it was the rave culture thing had blown up in the 80s. So that kind of there were a lot of drugs knocking around, not necessarily in the band, but that whole thing was quite hedonistic, and like trance was a big thing, and it was sort of influencing bands like Primal Scream, Screamadelica, and you know there was lots of sort of indulgence. And at Creation they had a dance label which was part of Creation, but we kind of stayed away from that. We had our own thing going on, really.
Well, we didn't live in London, so
We didn't live in London. We
would
were really young.
just kind of pop up for meetings, and there would still be people there high on drugs that had been up all night partying in the
Yeah, we
offices or
kind of
whatever.
observed
Yeah,
it
yeah.
rather than
And
participate.
they were all a bit older than us.
We weren't straight by any. Yeah, that's it.
No,
Because we were so
everyone
young.
was just a little bit older. Like
Was
2-3
the
years.
creation office around here?
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
just
it's
up
above
on,
it was above the sweat
Hackney.
shop, I call it. Yeah.
Yeah, just at the top of the road, turn left, and it was a walk up there just by the railway bridge.
Oh right.
On the
Okay.
left-hand side, yeah, and you'd go up there, and people would be knocking white powder off the table, and
Right. So it really was what people kind of imagine
Yeah.
of the creation.
I think
people
so.
lying up the stairs with their pupils dilated, shaking, staring at you like, you know, because they're hallucinating. It was like that, and we'd be walking in with cans of Coca-Cola, you know.
That must be quite, especially like as 18, 19-year-olds. That must have been quite an overwhelming experience.
I think we were just really excited to be
You're
on
just
the
like,
label.
this is brilliant.
Yeah.
We were just
Yeah,
so
look at this
excited to be
guy.
on Creation. They
Creation
were like
Records.
they were the best indie label at that time.
Oh, they had so many good bands, and you'd go in there, and
Yeah.
there'd be Bobby Gillespie and Kevin Shields, and you know, stop in the corridor and say
Teenage
hello to Ride.
fan club.
Teenage Fan
fannies
Club,
were always
Swerve
in there.
Driver. Yeah, just fantastic. Really great label, great heritage. And Alan McGee is a really nice man.
Because Creation were they were your favourite label. They were the label that you wanted to sign to, right?
Yeah.
And then
Right,
you
yeah.
managed to sign to them.
Yeah.
And at such a young age, at like 19 or whatever. Did it feel at the time that everything was just falling into place and did it feel kind of easy?
I guess it kind of did. I mean, we did that. We got signed because we'd supported 530 in Reading, and their publishing guy Steve Walters from EMI was there to see them, who was a friend of Alan's, and he caught our set, and then I remember we got there to do our sound check and we hadn't brought any demo tapes, and so I had to run home. I lived in Reading at that point, and so I ran home and got a demo tape just in case to give to anyone. And then Steve was like, loved it, gave that to him, and then McGee phoned up. Neil and I were living together at that point. He phoned us like 3 days later and just said, I love this EP, you want to put it out? And it just kind of snowballed, and for about a year or so it did really snowball. And you just kind of just riding on it, really, weren't we? We had really positive press and all that sort of stuff for a bit. We just kind of went with the flow, and then I think by the time we got to demoing Souflaki, it was already going a little bit more difficult at Creation, because I don't think they weren't as interested. Alan wasn't well, he was in rehab, and different people came in, and all the Sony stuff, and we were palmed off to SBK in America, who were pretty terrible, to be honest.
And the press at that point
were terrible
well.
for us.
The press were on a downer about us completely, and you had Richie from the Manics kind of saying Slowdive are worse than Hitler, really ridiculous.
Did he say that?
He said that. Yeah. We hate Slowdive more than we hate Hitler. I mean, what a stupid thing to say, but we kind of laughed at that and thought it was pathetic. And talk about your band, not about us. So there was this big kind of backlash. And
was that backlash was, even though sometimes you were at the kind of on the end of it, was it not more the kind of the shoegaze thing and the
I think it was I mean, like grunge had come in, hadn't it? And then you had Britpop, and what we were doing wasn't fashionable. But I remember going into Creation when Souflaki was coming out, and I remember just feeling that pretty much most people working there just weren't interested, and I was, I found that quite depressing. I still remember that.
Yeah.
I was still kind of going in there to do press stuff and just thinking nobody cares really.
Yeah.
And by Pygmalion, credit to them for putting it out, because that record is so far removed from everything else at that time that was coming out, But I've got mixed memories. But I think it's probably the same for any band. I think all bands go through that.
Do you think that your youth at that time kind of protected you from that kind of criticism, or I think maybe it could have gone either way? Because I think when you're really young and you go through that kind of, someone in a band saying your band worse than Hitler, you can either when you're a certain age, when you're young, I think you can either more easily laugh it off or more easily be absolutely destroyed by a comment like that, and a kind of bad press, I guess.
No, we weren't destroyed by it. We kind of laughed it off and then just thought,
but I think the bad press did affect the band, though.
Eventually
Definitely.
it did.
I think now, for me, I don't care what people write, and I haven't for the last 20 years. Just don't care from that experience. You care less as you get older. I think you prioritise your life more, and you kind of understand, I think, a lot more about life and what's important.
Yeah, how everything's subjective to, someone's going to love it, someone's going to hate it. We don't all order the same dish off the menu, do we? We like different things. But I think we definitely kind of thought for a while, we'll just be over here and do our own thing and write our music. But yeah, eventually, just when everything seemed to be saying, there's nobody turning up, the press hate it, people have stopped sort of wearing the Slowdive t-shirts, and you're now very unfashionable. It was like, hang on a minute.
But we were still really proud of the records that we'd made at the time. At the times, we were like, we loved what we'd done, and that was, I think that's the aim of any musician, is that you have to love what you do and be proud of what you put out, and we were. And we stood by that, and of course we still stand by that now. And clearly a lot of other people have cottoned onto it, which is fantastic.
And that's probably that's probably why you sold out tonight's show in a day, and essentially why you're more popular now. Like, the records stand up now. Yeah, I think is the key.
We are definitely
is the key to it. And you're playing. Are you playing bigger shows now than you would have played back there?
Not on this particular one, because these are all small club shows, and that was for the reason of making them a bit different. But we the American tour we did a couple of years ago, Terminal 5 in New York, that's 3,000 capacity. That's way more than we would have done. We always did okay out there, but not nowhere near that well. So it's we are definitely playing bigger venues than we would have done then. And I think we only did Slough Festival in the 90s.
Slough Festival?
That classic.
Yeah, the legendary.
I can't remember what year that was. Was it 1991?
The
Slough
Mock
Festival.
Turtles, 1,000-yard stare,
Curve
Curve
played.
I would love a Slough Festival t-shirt. I bet that's probably worth quite a bit of money. Was there only ever, what was there, one Slough Festival? Was there just one?
It
one
was just
day.
the one,
It was a
yeah, and
Saturday.
it was only that one time, wasn't it? I don't think they repeated
It's just
it.
that one time and someone lost an awful lot of money, I think. But,
Was anyone at Slough Fest?
There was a lot of people there. I was really drunk again.
I can't
but-
remember anything about it.
I was by 2 o'clock. I was really drunk,
Yeah.
and by the time we went on, I was really, really drunk.
I'm
How
noticing
many-
a bit of a theme here, Rachel.
And, well, that's why I don't remember much. Yeah, from that time. Yeah, I was young and enjoying myself.
You were having a good time,
I was
yeah.
having a great time.
You were at Slough Fest. What were you expecting?
Exactly. You know, we got there early in the morning. What else is there to do? I don't know what time we went on, but there was a few hours of drinking.
It certainly wasn't Primavera,
Okay.
No.
which we played in 2014.
Yeah. So I don't think we did any other festivals apart from Slough.
Well, we
I can't
got offered
remember.
Glastonbury,
Oh,
and
God,
our then manager said, yeah, Slowdive would love to play Glastonbury, which we obviously would. The thing was, he said, but Slowdive want their own stage.
What,
And this was
Exactly,
like, we had
and
no
we
idea.
didn't. It was
We
the most
didn't.
ridiculous thing ever.
Yeah, and they sort of went, okay, we'll
See you later.
We'll probably have someone else in there. Bye. And we found out about that like a few months later. We were like,
We were
oh,
like,
you
what have you
cretin.
done?
that's
You
a
idiot.
great demand.
I know.
That is so mortifying. Even now, I think about that. I think that's really
It's
mortifying.
really embarrassing for us because it makes us, well, whatever. Yeah.
Because they would have thought that would have been your demand.
Yeah,
They
didn't
would
even
have-
know about
I
it.
thought
Who
managers
the hell
just.
do they think they are? You know, bad as Sting.
Who
you
does
know.
that?
Even Sting wouldn't ask for his own stage at Glastonbury.
No,
Why
maybe
not?
like a tent, like
Him and Trudy could have their yoga tantric
Yes.
sex
Yeah.
stage, maybe,
Yeah, yeah.
which I'm
Luxury
sure would
glamping tent yurt. You'd have a yurt full of stuff.
the sting yurt.
Yeah, sting
God.
yurt.
Oh, that makes me itch. So the new album was announced yesterday.
Yes,
How's the reaction been?
I think it's been good.
been great.
We've come back to the internet again now, haven't we?
Yeah, we
Essentially,
have,
that would have
yeah.
been where the reaction.
Yeah,
was.
I think it's been good. Yep.
Tick.
Friday. Yeah, tick.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's been,
it's nice to actually have the news out there because we've known the release date since last year, December, January.
Yeah,
we
we
kinda knew-
finished mixing in November, and kind of
Yeah.
there was a schedule. We'd signed to Dead Oceans and stuff, and
It's been that kind of floaty interim period where you're not allowed to say things, but you really want to tell people, but you can't, and you want people to hear the record, but they can't, or some can, but it's quite strict. So it's been funny, but I'm glad the news is out. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
exciting. It's nice that it's
yeah. In the same
there.
way, it's been brilliant to do these two shows we did Monday and Tuesday, Glasgow and Liverpool, to play the new songs for the first time ever live. It's like we want to get them out there, because we really care about the songs, and obviously we wouldn't put out a new record if we thought it was pretty good or quite good. We believe in it and we think it's brilliant, so it's really exciting.
The Primavera show that you mentioned, I was at that show actually,
Were you?
and that was like the first big one back, wasn't it? I think maybe you'd done like a couple of small
it was
warm-ups.
huge.
And
That
it
was
was huge. It was, yeah.
Yeah, 25,000 people, the promoter told us, came to see us, which was unbelievable because as you were there, you know about the rain.
Yeah.
Until about 20 minutes before
It
we
would
took
be-
the
yeah.
stage.
I felt so
Like
sorry.
biblical
Yeah,
rain
it was,
for John
wasn't
Grant,
it?
wasn't it?
Oh, I felt really sorry for him. I thought, oh, it's just really shit. But
Yeah, then
That
it
was
came the
great.
rainbow and on we went.
it was.
Brilliant.
I still look back on that, and it was still a very magical experience for me. Like all of that, I just thought it was amazing. I don't think we didn't really know what to expect, and they were like, oh, you've been offered this. Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, maybe there'll be a
And
couple of
then-
hundred people there to see us. I mean, we genuinely thought.
And you probably thought, did you maybe also think you'd be honest? Because you were on like one of the main stages. It was a
We
huge.
were, yeah.
We were really high. We were like, they've made a mistake. Like, seriously.
It
like,
was weird.
They're going to regret that, but they
It's
were right.
great. But the penny didn't really drop. I didn't even drop in because we sound checked at 9 o'clock in the morning there. It didn't even drop then. My penny didn't drop in my brain then. It was only when the backdrop went down just before we went
Yeah.
on stage, and then you know, the audience were cheering, and then I kind of poked my head out and went, oh my God, non-sweary, that this is huge. And I felt, you know, quite emotional doing that.
We were all really teary. It was kind of strange.
But then, and also that was the first experience of having the cameras and all, because that was all filmed. We'd never had that before either, so it was like a double whammy of like, there's a massive audience, there's a huge stage, and you've got cameras everywhere.
The sun was going down.
Yeah.
You started on sunset, ended in. That's the perfect set.
Absolutely, yeah, of course, yeah.
I was just like this, sort of between some selfies, sunset, taking pictures.
I'm glad you took photographs.
So I've got that.
Some great ones.
I've got hundreds of them, and all those different kind of colour changes in the sky. Yeah, it was amazing.
At that point in time, obviously, so that's 2014, and you'd got back together with the intention of playing some shows that summer, and kind of seeing where you were at the end of that, and to make some new music if it felt like you should do that.
Yeah.
When you first met, just to kind of get in a room and start practicing the old music, and kind of made that decision to like, let's do some reunion shows, let's do some shows of the old stuff. Can you remember what that was like? And had you all remained in contact, and was everything cool in that situation?
I think been in contact pretty much with everyone apart from Simon, but also I did Mojave 3 with Neil for 10 years after that, and we kept in touch when that finished as well, just occasionally, and he asked me to do some singing with him at Cecil Sharp House in 2013.
Right,
so I went and did that, and the idea was floated down because Primavera thing had come up then. And Nick and Christian came to that as well, and because we sort of said, you know, this is sort of coming up, they came to the show, and then we got in contact with Simon. Nick and Christian I'd not been in touch with massively. I'd occasionally dip in and out of contact with them. Simon, we'd lost contact over the years, hadn't we?
Yeah, we bumped into each other.
We
a couple
did
of times,
occasionally.
It was, you know, it wasn't like we all fell out or anything like that. But you know, 20 years is a long time, and you go off and get married and have kids, and then get divorced, and you know, all that stuff happens. And
but that first going into the rehearsal room, the first song we did was Slowdive, and it was just like
we knew
just there
straight
like
away.
that, you know,
just
and
clicked.
it just felt really easy and very comfortable.
Yeah, we went for lunch and had a beer and hung out, and it was just like, 20 years went really quickly because it was exactly like it was before, you know.
Yeah.
But we were really...
But better.
But much better.
Not quite exactly
we kind
like
of,
it was before.
Well, yeah. Not exactly the
A
same.
few things under the bridge.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And then how about at the end of that kind of run of shows, that original run from Primavera onwards, what was it? When was that moment when you thought we should go and make some music now?
Well, we discussed it at the beginning because we didn't. I remember we did sit down and discuss it right at the beginning, and we were a bit like, we didn't want to come back. We didn't want to come back just to be a nostalgia band and just to play old songs.
Yeah,
it's kind of like, can see why bands do it. You know, and that's fine. But I think for all of us, it needed to be something a little bit more. But of course, we had to really see how we got on that year as well, and things really just snowballed with the amount of shows we ended up doing was way more, I think, than anyone could have anticipated. And I think by the end of the year, I mean, it was a great year. It was a great year, but it really it was a roller coaster.
It really snowballed, didn't it?
It really did.
At one point, we're like, we've got Primavera and like the warm up show, and we were doing Primavera in Porto and maybe one other thing. We were like, there's not a lot of gigs coming in. There's not a lot of excitement. Is anybody going to show up? And then as soon as we did like Village Underground and then Primavera, it was like there was a couple more and then a couple more, and then do you want to go to Asia? You should go to America. There's all these offers, and
it was
we
good.
were busy.
Yeah,
it was great.
I think that at the end of that year, it was kind of, you know, we all took a couple of months off, have a breather, you know, reconnect with your home life, and then we started checking our Google Calendar, like when can we all get together to try and do some stuff. So we had like little weekends here and there for rehearsing and going into studios and just recording stuff to see what came out of it, and it was quite a slow process over 2015.
It took a little while for the songs to come together, but then it kind of really flowed once we went back to Courtyard, where we recorded the other albums, funnily enough. And we had a great engineer that we worked really kind of quickly and creatively with, and that's how the album came together. So it was kind of last year, wasn't it? Mainly.
It was, yeah. I mean, I remember going in July last year, and I bashed out about 7 vocals in 2 days. It's like, because everything else was, finished. It was kind of, I was relying on everyone else doing music, because just come in and sing, which is historically what I've always done with Slowdive.
And Neil produced it, and I mean Neil's the core songwriter, and even though we've all co-written other bits on the album, he was in the driving seat and produced it, and it took him a little while to kind of find the flavour, but once we got it, it was sweet.
Yeah. It feels. We had the record on here yesterday.
Okay, so you've heard it.
I've heard it.
You've heard it. Okay.
I've heard it. Yeah.
All right.
It sounds to me more vocally, just a bit clearer, a bit less cloudy.
Mm-hmm.
If we can use that word.
Yes. Yeah.
And maybe a bit more up tempo as well. They were my first two things that I kind of took from it.
Yeah, there's definitely more up tempo. There are definitely more up tempo numbers
it's
on
quite
there.
a poppy album in a way. Not all of it. Fallen Ashes is very ambient and stuff.
Poppy in a Slowdive way.
Poppy in a Slowdive way. Yeah, more like Souflaki than Pygmalion.
But there are nods to Pygmalion.
Yeah, and there's nods to the future. There's a track that I wrote with Neil called Fallen Ashes right at the end of the song, and that's me. I use this signal processing software called Max MSP, and Neil was struggling with this piano piece. So I was just like looping him and in real time, and then he kind of was like, I don't know what to do, and I played him it, and he was like, that's it, exactly that, and that is something we kind of want to do more. There's so much great music technology. We want to kind of use those sort of more experimental sounds perhaps in the future. I think Neil was very excited by that, but it's a very sort of, as you said, it's a very sort of poppy kind of up record in places.
Fairly,
yeah.
Do you feel like all this time on and having a really dedicated following and new followers obviously, but having people who have kind of been waiting for more Slowdive music, especially since 2014, now it's finally here. When you're making that your first record in 22 years, do you feel any kind of pressure to sound like Slowdive?
It wasn't that considered, really. It wasn't like we need to make a record that sounds like Slowdive.
I think there was a small element of some things we did where we turn around and go, that's not quite. I think there were small elements of keeping, because we all write, and we've all written in different bands, and stuff I do is very different. Stuff you do is very different outside Slowdive.
Yeah.
Neil's stuff is singer-songwriter acoustic, so like quite a lot of different dynamics within the band. But I don't think there was a pressure to make it a certain way.
No, it wasn't like let's make a record that sounds like Slowdive, because Slowdive is like the 5 of us, and Neil and Rachel's vocals are very sort of distinguishable.
I mean, there is a classic sound to the band, and that's the guitars, and there is definitely a certain classic element to it that I think that we have retained on this record to a certain extent.
Yeah, rhythmically as well. Nick's bass lines and stuff are very important.
Yeah, I think drumming wise it's quite different on some things actually, which is good. It's good that it's not the same. It shouldn't be the same.
No.
Every record should be different.
Yeah.
And I think Just for a Day, Souflaki and Pygmalion are all quite different records, and I like to think that this eponymous album is different again. I like to think it's different again, and I'm really pleased with it.
When you made the first record, I read that you told Alan McKee that you were ready to make a record, but you didn't actually have any songs.
Yeah, that's true.
And then so you got booked into a studio for 6 weeks.
Courtyard, yeah. And we panicked and we're like, shit.
We ate loads of Chinese food, drank loads of beer, and smoked loads of cigarettes, and went.
Lots of weed. That's why I don't remember much of it.
Yeah, and our manager said, don't put your singles on it. Like, don't put Evelyn.
Yeah.
It's the same manager that demanded your own stage at
Exactly.
Glasgow.
It is, yes,
Yeah,
it
he's
is.
no longer managing Slowdive.
Clearly.
But
Bless
yeah,
him.
that was hard. That was hard work. That was.
It was, yeah, it was. It was, yeah. Yeah, but you know, we were 19 and just kind of
Yeah,
like,
it's
oh my god, it's creation. Oh yeah, we better say we've got a record's worth. We had nothing.
Was it because you were worried that they wouldn't wait around and you just like we?
I don't know. I think maybe we were a little bit scared.
I think it's a bit like your parents when they say,
It
"You done all
was
your
totally-
homework." You're like, "Oh yeah,
Yeah,
finished it." Yeah, no, I haven't.
It was
started
exactly.
it,
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was
one of
exactly
those.
that. It was like, yeah,
Great, let's get an
yeah.
album
Your
out.
dad, but quite a fiery, feisty, off the wall dad going. "Eh."
Was it on Souvlaki where you worked with Brian Eno?
Yeah.
How was that experience of?
Well, frustratingly for the 4 of us that didn't meet him,
Yeah.
work with him.
Only
it
Neil
was
met
just
him,
Neil.
was it?
Only Neil.
Yeah, and he didn't. He basically said, "I just want like the main songwriter, to come on down. Oh, he plays guitar, right? Brilliant. Tell him to bring a guitar. I'm really busy. I think it was like 3 days. Come to my studio. You've got like 4 hours." So they just recorded all this stuff, really sort of free form, no metronome, click track, etc.
He just told Neil to just plug in and
plug in
play
and play.
anything.
Start placing.
He put a clock on the mixing desk as well because he was timing stuff. It was like, you've got X amount of
Yeah,
time.
until I have to leave and pick my kids up, sort of thing. So he was. And
That kind of takes a bit of the
mystique
the
away.
mystique away, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
well, at that time, like Neil had no idea he was like the kind of godfather of ambient, and that
No, he
he'd
didn't
like
know.
you know formed EG, did music for airports and all that stuff, and you know, Neil basically came back with all these cassettes because you used to kind of put stuff on cassette, didn't you? And we went into Protocol in just behind Holloway Road, and it was all a mess. But
just loads of
it was just
stuff and
yeah,
picked out.
it was all
made
quite
songs from them.
quite new age, a lot
Right,
of it,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know. But there was some beautiful ambient stuff, and we found some loops and wrote Sing.
Yeah, I do remember that recording session, and I remember doing the vocals on that one, and I remember you doing the drums on that one
remember
because I
doing the
wrote
bass on
the
that one as
vocals
well.
on that. I did that, so I do remember all that. I remember staying in a flat in a high rise somewhere,
Swiss Cottage.
Swiss cottage, and we all
Yeah.
had massive beds.
Yeah, I remember that very well.
Separately, obviously,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Was
Yeah.
Neil like? I just met this weird guy called Brian Eno. And you're like, you're kidding.
I think it was
Not
McGee's idea, wasn't it? I think he said, "Oh, you guys should
Well,
do
we
a record with Brian Eno," and
Well,
he
we
just done
sent him a
Unforgettable.
fax, didn't we?
Fire.
We sent. We
Yes.
got our manager to
Dear
fax
Mr.
him.
Eno.
Fax his manager, going, saying, "We're big fans.
Massive
Would
fans,
you
we love all
consider
your
producing
stuff."
our album?" And he sent a fax back saying, "I don't want to produce it, but I'd I'd be happy to write some stuff with you."
Yeah.
And then it was Neil that went in, and then we, as you say, got the stuff back, and then jigged them around, and then Sing and Here She Comes, Here She Comes, Here She Comes, came out of those sessions.
There's a load of really good stuff actually that I've still got on tape that I still listen to. There's some really beautiful stuff.
Is there?
Yeah, we might have to
Oh, you might
send
give
him
us
a
a
dear
copy.
Mr. Eno, we're big fans. We've got these tapes from those sessions. Can we use some of
Can
them?
you do
You never
some?
know.
Well, yeah, I mean, we would have.
He's a legend, though.
Well, yeah, clearly he is a massive legend.
Midnight Chats is a loud and quiet podcast. Production by Emma Snook. Music courtesy of Gold Panda. Search Midnight Chats on iTunes for more episodes and to subscribe. For more information, visit loudandquiet.com.